And we are back another week, another prediction show, preview show, whatever you want to call it. Let me get this up, make sure everybody can hear me. I got the link posted out and all that shit. Give me just a few seconds here. Boom, got it in the ears. Cool deal. All right, share it on Facebook, share it here, share it there. We all good. Just flip to my channel where I got my notes at here. Gaethje versus Cerrone tonight, or not tonight, on Saturday. Big fight to look forward to. Leg kicks versus kickboxing bonanza. Let's see who's going to win there. I would have my special money on not telling you yet. We'll go over that in just a minute. First fight of the night is going to be Misha Serkinov going against Dana White Contender Series alum Jimmy Crute. Everybody loves to see Jimmy Crute back in there. Misha Serkinov is 14-5, 5-3 in the UFC, but he's 1-3 in his last 4 fights, so kind of on a bad skid here. Needs to do something to pick it back up. Here he is against Jimmy Crute, another tough opponent. Little fucker. That scared me, though. It jumped out of nowhere, homie. Fell from the ceiling. God damn. My bad, Lord. My bad, Lord. Whew. Motherfucker started fucking buzzing and shit. No good. No good. He started on a good streak in the UFC. He had 4 straight wins. He beat Alex Nicholson, Ion Kiblota, Nikita Krylov, and then he has 3 losses recently to Volkan Oezdemir, Glover Teixeira, and then most recent to Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker, everybody knows, is on his way to a possible light heavyweight title shot. John Jones just announced today that he has fight news coming up. We thought it was going to be Han Blachowicz because he also announced that he has fight news coming up. We did see that Han is going to be fighting Jacare Souza November 16th in Brazil, so it won't be that fight there. There's only really one other fight on my mind that I think that is not already booked that could be booked for John Jones later on this year, and it's Johnny Walker. That's the only option I see available for him. Wouldn't be surprised if it does happen or it doesn't happen. Also wouldn't be surprised if it does, because it's going to be a good fight no matter what. It's just, does Dana White think his boy's ready for it just yet? We'll see. Jimmy Crute, like I said, Contender Series alum, 10-0, 2-0 in the UFC. He's got a good start. Submission win over Paul Craig, who is a submission artist. And then a knockout win over Sam Alvey, who's a boxer. So he beats both of the 2 guys that he's fought in the UFC at their strength. It's always good to do. He's got 7 out of 10 of his wins are by finish, 4 knockouts, 3 submissions. Excuse me, very well diverse. Can use his power in a lot of different ways. Serkinov, I think, is kind of not a one-trick pony, but he doesn't have the same intensity in the striking and skill level on the ground, I think, as Jimmy Crute. So I got Jimmy Crute in this fight, probably by a knockout in the second round. I'm just going to straight up call it Jimmy Crute win. I don't really know how exactly it's going to happen, but hopefully I can get some extra bonus points if it's second round knockout. Uriah Hall versus Antonio Carlos Jr., the next fight. Hall 14-9, coming off of alum of what's the show called? The Ultimate Fighter, Tough. I don't remember what season. This is his first fight in 2019, so he hasn't fought this since December, 7-8 months ago. 10 out of 14 of his wins are via knockout, never been submitted in his life. He's got wins over Bavon Lewis, Gegard Mousasi, Thiago Santos, Chris Lieben. He's got a loss to Gegard Mousasi. Yes, they went 1-1 against each other. losses to Robert Whittaker, Derek Brunson, and then also most recently Paulo Costa, who we see is going to be fighting for. Oh, maybe that's who they got fighting for the title shot at light heavyweight, because he was about to get a title shot at middleweight, but I think at least in California or Vegas, California, I think, they're going to be forcing him to go to light heavyweight if he fights in California, because he came in like 30% over his fight weight or some shit like that, 20%, whatever the fuck it is, 15% over his fight weight. So he won't be allowed to fight in middleweight in California anymore. So who knows? Maybe he gets the light heavyweight title shot there against John Jones. I'd like to see it. I'm sure a lot of other people would too. Hall is 35 years old. He turned pro in 2005. That brings us to Shoeface, Antonio Carlos Jr., who is 29 years old, 6 years younger than Uriah Hall. And he's also only been fighting since 2013, so he has, 8 less years of experience than Uriah Hall. He's 10-3-1. 8 out of 10 of his wins are via submission. So submission artist here. Uriah Hall's never been submitted. It's going to be interesting to see. Can Carlos Jr. get him to the ground? His one no contest was against Kevin Casey back in 2015, which was an accidental eye poke. Kevin Casey couldn't continue to fight. He's got wins over Marvin Vittori, Jack Marshman, Tim Bosch. Pretty decent experience he has. Young guy, submission artist. I think this is the first time Uriah Hall will ever get submitted. And that's a tough thing to say. This is going to be the first time this happens to this guy, or it's the first time this happens to this guy. But I truly think that Antonio Carlos Jr. has a skill to submit Uriah Hall, who you've seen a lot standing up, a lot of fights he stood up, but has he ever been tested in a jiu-jitsu game like Carlos Jr. is going to test him? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm just going to give Antonio Carlos Jr. the nod there. Todd Duffy is going to be returning after 4 years or so. His last fight was in July of 2015 to fight Jeff Hughes, making his second fight in the UFC. Sorry, not his UFC debut, his second fight. Let's see. Like I said, Duffy's making his comeback. He's only 9-3 overall. All 12 of his fights ended in a knockout. He has wins over Tim Hague, Philip DeFries, who is now in KSW. He thinks he's going to be headlining KSW this weekend, actually, and Anthony Hamilton. He has losses to Frank Mir, which was his last loss before he stopped fighting for the past 4 years. Alistair Overeem and Mike Russo. And I say he stopped fighting, but I'm pretty sure he had some kind of USADA something going on with USADA where he couldn't fight. And he'll be fighting Jeff Hughes. Jeff Hughes is 10-2. I say 10-2, but he's 11-3 as an amateur, so he's got 26 fights under his belt, amateur and pro. Let's see, he won his Contender Series fight in 2018, and then he lost his UFC debut to Maurice Green back in March 2019, which is actually a little bit funny because his last fight before the Contender Series, he he retained his heavyweight title in LFA against Maurice Green in a unanimous decision. His debut in the UFC, loses a split decision to Maurice Green. The rubber match is obvious. Everybody loves to see the rubber match. If there's 1-1, you got to see who's better. Every time you have to see who's better. In this case, he gets Todd Duffy, power striker, not fighting for 4 years. Ring rust, is it a thing? We don't know. I did horrible on the prelims of the last card, 242. And I did pretty damn good on the main card. So who knows? Who knows how this is going to go? I think I'm going to pick Todd Duffy. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Todd Duffy, first round knockout. Comes back, shocks the world, been gone for 4 years. Same thing Nate Diaz did. Nate Diaz been gone for 3 years. Comes back, whoops on Anthony Pettis, who's pretty, Jeff Hughes is not on any level where Anthony Pettis is at, but somewhat of a same type of comeback fight Todd Duffy's going to have. I'm not saying Todd Duffy's anywhere near Nate Diaz exposure, talent, anything like that, but you get what I'm saying. So far we got Jimmy Crute, Antonio Carlos Jr., and Todd Duffy. Next we have Glover Teixeira versus Nikita Krylov, who we've talked about Krylov earlier tonight. Teixeira's 29-7 on a 2-fight winning streak. He's had submission wins over Carl Robinson and Ainu Kabilto, which was his most recent fight. 17 out of 29 of his wins are via knockout. He's never been submitted. Krylov, on the other hand, is 25-6. He's never went to the distance ever, same as Duffy. Let's see. He got lost by knockout. Uh, 10 of his 25 wins are by knockout. He has 1 knockout loss. He has 15 out of his 25 wins by submission, and 5 of those are losses by submission. In his recent return, he's 1-1 in the UFC. He got submitted by OSP in his last fight. Or no, he submitted OSP in his last fight. And then the fight before that, he got submitted by Han Blachowicz in his UFC debut, his return to the UFC. He did have a small stint with the UFC between 2013 and 2016. He then went to Fight Night Global, and now he's back with the UFC. He was in the top 15, 14 for a little while. I think he might have been kicked out now, right outside the top 15. Good chance for him to get back in, if that is the case. If he still is 14 or 15, this is a good chance for him to get further up. But I do believe that Glover Teixeira is not done yet. He's a great wrestler. Amazing boxing. Nikita Krylov has youth on him. I think Glover Teixeira is going to keep a higher pace than Krylov, and I think he might get himself a decision there. So I got Glover Teixeira on that one. Donald Cerrone versus Justin Gaethje. Like we said, kickboxer versus the leg kicks guy. Justin Gaethje being a leg kick guy. Gaethje's 20-2, 17 out of 20 of his wins are by knockout. His only 2 losses are knockout losses to Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. He's 30 years old. He was turned pro when he was in 2011, so he's only had 8 years pro. He's on a 2-fight winning streak right now. He knocked out James Vick and Edson Barbosa in March 2019. Donald Cerrone, on the other hand, 36-12-1. His first pro fight was in 2006, so 5 years before Justin Gaethje. And he's 36 years old, 6 years older than him. We just recently seen his first loss as Dad Cerrone. He had his kid, won 3 straight fights, Mike Perry, a couple other guys he had wins over there. And then he finally lost to Tony Ferguson just recently, I think back in June, where he broke his nose. He got hit in the nose so much, and then in between rounds, he tried to blow his nose. Everybody knows it's a big no-no to blow your nose when you have a broken nose. Excuse me, because your eye swells up like a fucking balloon, and you can no longer see out of that one eye. Obviously, nobody wants to be in a cage fight where they can only see out of one eye. So, the doctor or somebody was forced to stop it. It was really weird what happened too, because when he did it, the doctor had already cleared him to come back out, and he was supposed to come back out, and then next thing you know, he blows his nose, and then he himself starts freaking out that he can't see and what's going on with his eye and this and that. So still to this day, it's a little unclear to me whether the doctor came in and took another look at him and said, okay, that eye, you can't fight, or whether the doctor just stopped it because of how much he was complaining that he couldn't see out of that eye. I'm not sure, who's who to call it. Everybody knows Cerrone's tough as nails. I don't think anything less of Cerrone because of that fight, or I don't think anything about that easy way out shit. He's a 49 fight veteran. He should have known better, but if he didn't, you can't crucify the guy for trying to do something, trying to help himself breathe a little bit more, and it's just not working. So, can't take away from him there. Justin Gaethje is on a 2-fight winning streak, both of them being knockouts, and that's exceptional low kick game, which, Donald Cerrone leans a lot on his kicks, high kicks, yada, yada. He leans back a lot. Your mobility, your ability to throw the high kick, your ability to throw the body kicks, your ability to throw pretty much any kick is going to be hindered when your fucking leg is red as it's going to be after Justin Gaethje gets done kicking it 10, 15 times. So, honestly, we might have a long, drawn-out decision by Justin Gaethje. We might have a quick knockout by Donald Cerrone, although Justin Gaethje, it takes a lot to put him away. We've seen that in the Dustin Poirier fight. We've seen that in the Eddie Alvarez fight. It took a lot of shots to put Justin Gaethje away. So, I don't think Cerrone is going to be able to do it. I think that as time goes on, the leg kicks will start wearing down before Cerrone's power to the head starts to wear on. So I think Justin Gaethje is going to be able to outlast him a little bit there. And, either a decision, maybe a third, fourth, fifth round knockout. I just seen this, so I want to read it out loud. I have not read it yet, but it's something about Antonio Brown, the football player. He's got all these problems. Doesn't want to play for Oakland, gets released, goes to the fucking Patriots because he's a punk. Antonio Brown has been accused of sexually assaulting his former trainer, Brittany Taylor, on 3 separate occasions, according to a lawsuit filed on Tuesday in the Southern District of Florida. Southern District of Florida. He played in Pittsburgh, and then he played in Oakland. Now he's about to play in New England. So when would he have been in the Southern District of Florida sexually harassing a trainer? He never played for anywhere in Florida. I don't know. Weird case. Not gonna. I'll never be the guy that says no, he didn't, or yes, he did, in that kind of scenario, because unless it happened to somebody I know, unless I know for a fact, I'm just not going to do it. You can't do that to people. You can't accuse people of doing something you don't know for a fact they did, so I won't do it. Who knows? We'll see what happens there. Also on the card, the UFC Vancouver card, Marcin Tybura, Augusto Saki, Cole Smith going against Miles Johns, Andrew Sanchez, Marvin Vittori will be heading off against each other. Andrew Sanchez was originally supposed to fight David Branch. That fight fell through. He will now fight Marvin Vittori on Vittori's return to the octagon after his, I think it was marijuana, maybe USADA suspension, excuse me. Brad Katona. And I say Miles Johns. Miles Johns is this is his first fight after winning his contract from the Contender Series. Brad Katona will also be fighting Hunter Azure, who will also be making his first fight since winning his contract on the Contender Series. Louis Samolka will be fighting Ryan McDonald, and Michel Pereira was supposed to fight. I forget the dude's name that he was supposed to fight. He was supposed to fight somebody else. He will now be fighting Vancouver's own Tristan Connolly. Good fight for Connolly to come in on the UFC. Very exciting fight. If he can make it competitive, he'll make a big name for himself. Very dangerous opponent. Michel, though. Let's see how it turns out. It's a great card. Amazing card for Vancouver. And later card in the East Coast. Thank God. We've had enough of these fucking 6 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning. We have enough of that shit, man. Also, I want to touch on Island Fight 60 really quick. Jared Gooden will be going against Marcel Stamps. Probably one of the most anticipated fights coming out of the Georgia-Florida area anytime soon. Jared Gooden versus Marcel Stamps. Somebody will be hitting the floor. Somebody's hitting the deck. Unless we see some kind of Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou bullshit, somebody's hitting the deck there. Also, we're going to see on that same card Jake Kilburn and Tavares Ross, who are going back and forth against each other on Facebook Live. I guess they got on each other's live, talking to each other on the phone, whatever the case is, talking shit back and forth. Main event of Island Fights 59 is going to be SC Dumas versus Heath Herndon, former training partners. Two of the best welterweight middleweights of Florida in the Florida area. I think this fight will be at 185. It was originally supposed to be at welterweight. that got changed to 185. That's also going to be a banger. I think the next card is actually, is it 59 or 58? I can't think right now. I want to say the next card is 59. I could look it up really quick for you guys. Because I just had those guys on my thing. 60, 59. Yeah, 58 already happened. It was August 2nd. September 28th is Island Fights 59. That's going to be in Columbus. Is it in Columbus or is it 60? No, Columbus is 60. 59 is Pensacola. It's still in Florida. 60, October 10th. That will be in Columbus, Georgia. So a little bit closer to me. Still won't be able to go. I think that weekend I have a wedding to go to. One of our good friends from high school is getting married, so I'll be going to his wedding. My wedding, dropping some announcements. My wedding will be next year, next September 2020. Also, make a little bit of an announcement here. While I'll still be doing a little bit of content for purely MMA, I just got a job at MMA Sucka.com, MMA SUCKA.com. Very predominant website. We're putting together a lot of content for them. We'll be covering fights for them, just news articles for them. Everybody go there and check out all their material they got. Everybody on there is a good writer. I've heard a lot of good things about them, and now I'm going to get to experience. I've talked a little bit with the founder of MMA Sucka. Who's been doing this since about 2009. So we've been going back and forth a little bit. But it's good, man. Good to start new journeys here. Hopefully we'll be able to add a lot more press passes to this wall here. More island fights. I'll try to hit more showcase MMAs. NFCs in Atlanta. We're going to go to those a lot more. Be on the lookout, man. December, we got something coming up. This weekend we'll be in Tennessee. So everybody check. I don't know if we're going to do a fight pain or anything for the Gaethje Cerrone fight. If we do, it'll just be something light, probably. But nonetheless, after this weekend, after the fights in Vancouver, where do they go? List. After Vancouver, September 21st is Mexico City. Yair Rodriguez versus Jeremy Stevens. I heard a lot of people complaining about this card. Carlo Esparza, Alexa Grasso, Martin Bravo, Steven Peterson, Brandon Moreno, Askar Escravo, Escrav, sorry. Ariane Adanya, Marion Renew, Betch Correa, Ciara Eubanks. A lot of great fights on there. Sergio Pettis, Tyson Nam. Nothing to say that that's a horrible card. September, not the most jump out in your face type month, but I enjoy these type of cards, man. I enjoy the hardcores. Casuals won't be talking about it on Twitter. It's only going to be the hardcores talking about it because it's one of those kind of cards. Right after that, the 28th, you got Denmark, Jack Hermanson, Jerry Cannonier, Gunnar Nelson, Thiago Alves, Nicholas Dawley making his UFC return versus Alex Oliveira. OSP will be back. Alan Anodovsky versus John Phillips. Ian Kubota versus Khalil Roundtree Jr. Bunch of great cards on there. Lando Veneta, or a bunch of great fights on there. Lando Veneta, Mark DeCasey, Jack Shore, Nolene Hernandez, Danny Henry, Mike Davis. Again, that one surprised me. I thought he was going to be in Tampa. What is that, 2 weeks after that fight? But no, he took a fight in Denmark before that. Tampa's actually pretty stacked. October is going to be a good month. October's got 243 in Melbourne, Tampa, which is Joanna versus Waterson, Boston, which is Reyes versus Weidman. And then, of course, you got Maya versus Askren, Snooze Fest in Singapore. Nobody likes Singapore, though. That's why they give them all the shit cards, because nobody likes that place. Tampa is Ioanni Jacek, Michelle Watterson, Max Griffin, Alex Moreno, Cub Swanson, Cron Gracie, Mackenzie Dern, Amanda Rivas, Ryan Spann, Devin Clark, Tim Elliott, Devianson for Yurito, Eric Anders versus Jill Mearshart, Brock Weaver, Thomas Gifford, Miguel Beza versus Hector Aldana, James Vick, Nico Price, Luis Pena, Matt Frivola, Marlon Vera, Andre Well. That card is fucking stacked. Tampa is a good fucking card. It sucks that Tampa's 7.5 hours away from me, or else I would be there like fucking swimwear. Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's very far away, and we will not be there. We'll be back next week, of course, with Mexico City predictions. Possibly look out for the weekend on a slight chance that we might do a fight companion. Of course, have your eyes on MMASucka.com to try to see my up-and-coming content that I'm going to be putting on there. And, of course, if not this weekend, we'll see you next week for another preview prediction show. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. I certainly did. I always enjoy talking to this computer, looking at my fucking pretty-ass face. Until next time, see you later. Night, everybody.